Okay guys, welcome to the presentation. Today we're doing classification of motor skills, which I'm aware you've already looked at yesterday. So before we get into it, I'll just go over my learning outcomes. So the first one is I want everyone to be able to define what a motor skill is and give an example. The second one is describe the one-dimensional skill classification system. And the third one is to use Gentile's taxonomy to describe 3 skills within your sport. For that one, we're going to come together as a group at the end and go through it. Okay, so start off with, I want you all to get into pairs for me. Pair. You two are pair?
Yeah.
Pair. Okay, so as it says on the board over there, so I want you to put the tennis ball in your non-dominant hand, and then I want you to throw it up against the wall and catch it and record how many times you do before you actually drop it on the floor. I want you to repeat this about 10-15 times, so record for each other how many times you can actually catch it without dropping it. Okay? Off you go.
It's a non-dominant.
Yeah, your non-dominant hand.
Dominant.
Non.
Get a good wall.
Dominant.
I'm going here, I think. How many are we having?
10-15. I've got time for one, that's fine. Over here we've got a dropper. Make sure you record how many.
How many drops should we start?
How many you get up against the wall before you drop it.
You supposed to be right on it. Makes sense. No. Why have you right?
Your left-handed grip.
I don't know what you mean. I reckon you're cheating.
Yeah, I'd like to show you through it.
A little better. You should be clever.
I got 28.
How many do you get, Charlie? 6.
Basic form.
No.
Okay, so anybody finding that? Actually, switch over and have another
Is it just
go.
how many you do it before you
Yeah.
go?
Switch over and have another go.
Just watch them.
Still we non-dominant?
Yeah, still not. Yeah.
Watch this, how you bet I'm against top 20. There you go, it's your turn now, 'cause I failed it.
Did you improve or did you do worse?
Yeah, I got 14 first time, that time was 17.
How many did you get on your first and second go, Riley?
First I had about 9, 10. Second time I only had 1. I felt the pressure from the competition.
Did you improve, Charlie, or did you get?
Did you get that? Well,
How did you get?
I think I've got like 9.
Okay.
What's the name showing on?
Okay, is anyone finding this super easy?
Yeah. You can't say yes.
Yeah?
I got, what did I get the first time? 28 and the second time 45.
Okay, have another ball. So, my challenge for you is to place them both in that one hand
Ah,
and then try and juggle until. Okay, I want you to do that about 6 times and record how many you get. Everyone else keep switching around and try it up against the wall.
Are we still doing it?
how many do you get
Yeah,
before I
still.
can got that?
I'm beating you this time.
When you think
I'm
you've
only going to look at it.
improved.
Oh, I'm
You've
not
been
on
very
top level yet, to
confident.
be fair, but no, my left hand name.
We did this in college.
Should have hit the walls on airball.
sorry,
It's
sorry.
alright. I threw it on the floor before.
Do you have to do that in your non-dominant hand or in your dominant hand?
None.
Okay, that's probably why I was
Cheating, I don't know. I want you to make it harder. I want you to go and stand further back over there.
Then you got power in it to get it to the wall.
That was 32. That's more than double my first go.
So switch over and let Charlie have a go at the wall unless you fancy struggling.
Possibly, now you nugget.
It's not one. I was good to go.
Have a go at being five.
Alright. Put on the wall.
No, it's filling the gap. Don't throw it at the shot.
Let's use.
Aim for the bottom blue tack.
There's like 4.
Oh, you missed. Missed. You got one up.
Your extra ball to Owen, so Owen to have a go at the juggling ball for me.
Just a bit left hand.
Yeah.
I bet next door as well.
Your fingers on there. You've got some
Trigger the
so
ball.
big.
I can't juggle two-handed. I can't do it.
You give that ball to Sam or Sam's having a go at the juggling one there.
Each go. And then you can.
Well, hello. Well, hello, Owen.
So you just feed back.
New man with this.
After that 20 goes, you give them.
God, the ball's just going to go straight through the wall.
Keep it in control.
Chasing it round.
What's the difference?
Whose ball's this?
Mine.
Yeah. What are the disadvantages you want to make?
Take it up.
Sam, the extra, Sam, why don't you go at the juggling one there?
Oh.
When you did the second one, you have your feet.
Yeah, you need.
You might need
two
one.
balls.
So that could be something.
There you go.
You
No,
could
it's a bit
do,
juggling.
Left hand.
Anything on the left side of my body.
in terms of communications,
I can do it right hand, I swear.
So you can have 3 people.
It's a bit easier, but actually.
So one person is facing towards business or softballs. Once they're softballs, you can phone them before. One person's facing left hand, and I can see what's going on.
God.
That's alright.
Okay, no.
Not bad.
We have one person blindfolded.
I can do about 8 balls.
You made this engagement alive. That's what I like it.
And
I can't
this
juggle.
person can see what's going on.
I do.
I can't do more than one.
Okay.
You just said I can't
But
go.
once this one goes up,
What's that?
I can't do too much.
Can you actually juggle?
That's the best I've done. I just want.
You can speak, you can't see.
Right, so no one else has to go at the juggling one.
Go on, man.
What, 2 left hand?
Charlie, do you want to go?
Instantly from
Yeah,
one
I've got to do
Let
it.
Charlie have a go first, and then you can
You'll
help
have
the
the
balls
balls
back.
back in 2 seconds.
I've got the balls for the rest of the day, so if you want to
I
go
am,
after
but
this
it's-
one.
Then you put it
Trying
on
to
the
play
bed.
Well, no, you do. You throw one on.
How's it coming out?
And you've got a quick go.
Okay, so that's, again,
Jesus.
so that's a really great communication activity you can do to get some codes up in there.
Steroids,
No,
yeah.
but we'll be in this room next week. So you will need to watch out.
Ball throw for you, that Josh.
Okay, so let's
You should have that as a negotiation activity.
In trouble with just my left hand for a minute straight. Start doing more work.
Okay, so I'm guessing you're probably wondering how that relates to the skill classification. So it links to motor learning. So my question for you guys is, if you make more than 3 catches when you're doing it up against the wall or more when you were juggling, can you determine that you've learned how to perform the skill?
Charlie.
So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. So you feel like once you've done more than 3, you've learned the
Only
skill.
got 3.
So
No.
how many then?
And I don't know. Like to be able to do it, like from someone that's never done it before.
Yeah,
I don't know, thousands.
right. Okay. So I want you to write down what you define as motor learning. So that's learning a skill. Okay, so when you were thinking about your definition, I don't know whether you would have or not, but did you sort of actually wonder what is motor learning and what is classed as a motor skill? Because you sort of need to know that in order to make your definition. So technically, I threw it in there a bit early maybe. So if we go over what a motor skill is, so a motor skill is goal orientated, so you've got to have sort of a reason and somewhere where you're going for to achieve your skill. It has to have body, head or limb movements. Otherwise, so example, if you just sat down writing on a piece of paper and your goal is to finish that, that's not really a motor skill because your body's not moving, your head's not moving. You could argue that your arm's moving, but still you haven't got your body in your head. The movements are voluntary, so you're actually having to think about doing it rather than if you touch a hot stove, for example, you instantly take your hand off. That's involuntary, so that's not a motor skill. Sorry?
The reflex.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well remembered. So it also has to be developed or learned or whatever you class over a period of practice. So it can't just be a one-off sort of, you've managed to blag your way through it, you've fluked it. It has to be over a period of time, that's the main things. Do you want me to leave that up for a second? Are you writing that down? Okay, that's fine.
I will get the slides from Chloe and I'll put them on Blackboard, so don't need to write every single word down, guys.
Okay, so now we sort of give a quick overbrief of what motor skills are. Which ones do you think are motor skills and why? So first one letters at me, A, B, C, D, E. Which are motor skills?
E.
E, yeah? Why?
Oh, it's because you got repeating it and you gradually increasing how you do it and you just keep going
Okay,
and you use them. Yeah, limbs.
okay. Any more?
Brushing your teeth.
Okay, why do you think that's a motor skill?
Well, because if you never brush your teeth, well, you wouldn't know how to brush your teeth.
But would you say
And
it's
you've got
I'll throw an
a bit of a
argument?
movement going in there. I think it is.
But is it goal orientated? So
Yeah.
I know you want to have
Clean
nice
teeth.
breath and clean teeth.
I'm fresh.
Well, it's sort of a bit, that one's more of a debatable one, I say. It depends how you look at it. There's one on there that you haven't mentioned that is definitely a motor skill.
D.
Yes. Why D?
Because obviously it involves your limbs and it's progressively walking starting from a child to adult.
Okay. Good. Okay, so now we're going to look at the one-dimensional skill classification system. So you touched on this yesterday, so I won't quickly fly over it, but we'll just sort of have a quick look. So the first one is the fine versus the gross motor skills. So fine motor skills only use the smaller muscle groups. So for example, you're throwing a dart, because it's only your hands and your fingers that are really being used. Whereas a gross motor skill is your large muscle groups. So for my example on there is jumping. Normally children are more likely to develop their gross motor skills first because it's their larger muscle groups rather than their finer ones. So I now want you to come up with a fine motor skill and a gross motor skill for your sport. Just one example for each. And then write it down for me. You manage that, Josh? Okay, give me some example, one of each for me.
Well, for the fine motor skill, I put the catch position of breaststroke arm pull.
Right, okay.
So you're just using your hands, basically.
Yeah.
And then your gross motor skill will be the full breaststroke arm pull. So you're going through the full motion, you're
Yeah.
moving your arms, your shoulders, and your pecs.
Okay, yeah. Charlie, what about you?
I said lifting the leg and then the gross motor skill is actually kicking.
Okay. Anyone else want to give one of their examples, or is everyone quite happy with that? Okay, so we've got discrete versus continuous versus serial motor skills. So discrete has a specified beginning and end point. So I put a golf swing, which I know it was discussed and demonstrated yesterday. We've got continuous motor skills, so that's repetitive movements of one. So my example I put for swimming. And then can anyone tell me what we said a serial motor skill was yesterday?
Well, it's like doing an action and like repeating it, sort of. No, it's not. It's doing one movement and doing another, and then going back to the first one.
Okay, so I'll try and sort of reword it for you. So it's essentially it's both of them together. So it's repetitive movements, so the continuous motor skills of something that has a specified beginning and end point. Okay? So we've got open versus closed motor skills. So open motor skills is where your environment is constantly changing. So I've got dribbling a football, so that could be in a game. You've got people running around you, coming towards you, away from you, calling the ball, and stuff like that. Then I've got the closed motor skills, so that's where it's complete opposite. Your environment's stationary, so nothing around you is changing. The ground's all the same. What you're doing is the same. So I've got shooting. So if it's like target shooting or something like that, so you've got a target, nothing around you is moving, it's just all in the same place. So for this one, I'd like you to come up with, again with another example of an open and a closed motor skill for your sport. Okay, has everyone got something down for that one? Okay, Owen, what have you got and what's your sport? Sorry.
Cricket.
Okay.
Open, just bat, because you play like the bowler's ball, so like
Yeah.
you don't decide very games. And then close, just when you bowl and you run up, you decide when you start.
Okay, good. And Riley, what have you got?
Well, my closed motor skill is when you're taking a penalty kick in rugby. So you obviously have like a set time, but you still take time.
Yeah.
And an opening one is, I don't know, well, I'll probably say, go on Dave, you got one?
I've got one.
I'll just pull back up, go on, bring it out now.
Loads it.
Go on, Sam, what have you got?
I'd will open in football. Most of the games, like, could be passing, dribbling, shooting, anything where there's someone else or other people
Yeah.
around doing something. And then close would be like dead ball situations, like throwing free kicks, goal kicks,
Yeah.
penalties.
So we'll look at the two-dimensional skills classification system. So that's Gentile's taxonomy, which I'm aware it's very confusing when you first look at it. So I've tried to sort of break it down into the 4 components that it's categorised into for you. So there's body movement, object manipulation, the regulatory conditions, and the intertrial variability. So body movement is simply, is your body moving from one place to another while you perform the skill? Object manipulation is whether you actually have an object whilst you're performing the skill. The regulatory conditions is the environment changing around you whilst you're performing the skill. So that links nicely to like games and stuff like that. And then the intertrial variability is if you were to perform the skill again and again and again from like the same place and everything, would it change each time you did it?
Sorry to interrupt. Did you notice that that last one had a different term to what Stuart introduced it as yesterday?
I thought maybe I'd wrote it wrong down.
What did
Right.
what did Stuart call it yesterday? Can you remember?
It wasn't that.
No.
Contextual.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to look at this one as a group because it can get quite confusing. So if everyone could like gather around one table for me. you've got the email, the document I sent you, probably wonder why I sent it. So that's the actual page that's laid out the taxonomy. You can sort of spell it around, and Charlie, you can show Josh. So that shows you how it's categorised. Yeah, that's fine. So you have the body stability, and if it's transported at the top, and then obviously you've got the object manipulation underneath that, and then you've got your intertrial variability and your regulatory conditions. So if you want to have a quick read and sort of familiarise yourself with that, 'cause I know it's different from the one you looked at today.
I prefer that one to yesterday.
But the one you prefer that one to yesterday's, yeah. That's the one we use. Which one? The intertrial variability. So if you were to perform the scale in the same place over and over again, would the outcome change? Most of what's the that's whether the environment around you is changing. Whilst you're performing the scale.
Fancy computer like yours.
It's like in school, there's only two like short course, so 25-minute long course.
Yeah.
So they're the only examples for that.
Yeah. You also get crowds can also
Yeah.
affect it as well. That's one of the conditions.
I mean, when I were competing this weekend, there were two pools on the lads' side. Before they started the race, someone in the crowd tried to go for the girls' pool, which were going off at the same time, and they were a false start.
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay, so what we're going to do with this, obviously we're all sort of familiar with fencing, and obviously we're coaching the kids at the moment, so I thought if we come up with some examples for fencing, how we'd use Gentile's taxonomy to produce them. So if we look at one specific skill, and then go through each stage by stage. So if we do it for the same sort of age group, so we've got key stage 2 children that we assume are complete novice and don't know anything. So if we go through stage by stage, do a skill. So you can choose either the movement, attack or defence, that's up to you guys. I want you to work together to do it because it can get quite confusing. I want you to say how each, explain or write down or whatever, how each skill fits in which category. So you need to decide which category you're looking at. Movement, attacking or defending. You can work as one big group, you don't have to work in the 2 and 4 or 2 teams, just work as one big group together, that's fine.
So the lads, what we're doing.
I'm getting the
I suggest you do attacking or defending. So it's whichever one you guys are more comfortable with to produce skills for.
Oh, I don't know, that's just like
Position.
the sword. That'd just be movement forward and back up or going into the lunge without the sword. Yeah, that's
You were right, I say.
Another one,
Really good on it. That's what they kids do, isn't it?
It's full of confident.
Just do it by ourselves. But
Have you decided which one you're looking at, movement, attacking or defending?
You step back.
Okay.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157
draw something out like that if you're doing it as two separate, so I don't know how you've grouped up. So actually give her, do what Charlie did, so she's drawn a rough diagram and is filling the boxes in as she goes along. Thanks, John. So something like that, and then it really helps you to see which category each skill, movement / skill fits in.
Right down.
So that'd be.
You actually do anything today?
He's got to walk to school.
We've got a teacher for an hour.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is the end of the conversation?
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, can anyone remember the session plan that we was going to do? Because I don't know.
I've printed it out, I've got it with me. Yeah.
I'll have a look at it 'cause I can't remember any of it. But if you wing it, it's alright, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Dave was saying how before we send them into like the sports or like label them before you go into yeah, so when they go into no, they're giving them like get more in so you can just say
Jeez, your talk.
you go right side, left side, right side, left side, then it's like fancy name,
Condition.
name of a pyro. So like just say like one side station pyro.
Say it's the change of
or
condition.
waffling on about SN or something.
That's about it.
For that,
that way,
stationary.
Anyway,
Is
Yeah.
that just changing conditions around you? Changing,
Oh.
If it's-
changing
if
the
it's-
surrounding?
So if it's stationary, nothing around
no,
is
we
just
had
changing.
I thought enough.
Oh, okay.
About like two mates
And
that
it-
fuck around or something. He said this.
It's called
Like,
emotion.
he said
In motion, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
two people
So
that make
stationary,
this stuff.
nothing's
Just
changing
go get
around
yourself
you.
into a pair and go and find the best mate
Anything
and go,
will be
why don't you go that way, why don't you go that way?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
Then
again, yeah.
and then move them.
If it's not right, so
So no change whatsoever? Anything?
Saturday the gentleman's club.
When you're back.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you got to start young.
So with that,
Have you been, yeah?
I ain't been around the last year. So what if you finance? Email me.
Everyone else signed up for it now.
They emailed me saying I still need sending money as well.
What more evidence do you
I sent them my DSA form and they was like, oh, brilliant, thank you very much. And then they emailed me yesterday saying that I didn't.
DSA?
Yeah, I haven't had enough off, so they require more evidence.
use your parents' income?
DSA?
No, I mean for evidence for your student finance.
No, I need it for DSA.
Oh,
I
okay.
need to send my actual DSA forms off again. But I'm just going to chat away for this time. I'm just going to sign up for a GP here. Scan them, cheat the system.
Right, start filling out your thing and putting your movements or skills in when you send.
Nah.
Which one is struggling with?
this one.
Well, 1A.
I was thinking.
1A is obviously getting into the position to attack her reach without a sword.
I'm a bit lost now, what block?
And 1B is with
What's 1B and 1A? Oh, okay.
and 1B is
It makes more sense.
Exactly.
that
So
way.
I don't know
One
whether
B's with a
it
sword.
depends what sort of sport sometimes. It's really hard to figure out.
1C
So
is...
do this one,
It's not.
It ties
We get a
up.
tennis ball out, yeah?
Huh?
We get a tennis ball back out.
Yeah, once we've done this, it stays tennis.
Oh, like a couple like that.
So you just want to find some box.
Just leave it blank for now and we'll come back to it later on, or we can just take it.
doing lunge attack, but not doing it into it's not there's no targets, it's just standing there. Just,
I was going to say the lunge, but body's not
That's one.
Yeah.
Just set, just
So
Afterwards, we walk in the kids' library.
Yeah.
I'm coming back in.
yes.
So
We might have been miles.
It's not bad, it's like 10 minutes.
Have you got anything for your 1A box?
Yeah.
What have you got?
We're for
Into position.
getting into position with the sword. So obviously,
With that.
well, without it with your finger,
Okay. So just your on guard position.
basically, yeah.
You.
shall we just move on to the next actual row? Because you can't do that entire thing,
Yeah.
can you?
We'll talk to Dave about that.
Yeah.
So that's the actual environment around you.
The
So it's what?
what's it called? Yeah, regulatory conditions. That's the environment around you.
In motion.
So they're constantly changing.
I've seen the thing I went over there, I'm back there, so I came back down.
an attack with an opponent. So you're actually getting it into the chest. Bending the
Some
sword.
people that could be like being against the same person. Because you're getting used to that, aren't you? You're always with that person, therefore it's going to do the same thing.
Okay. Station. You need to explain this.
Which one?
What's 2B?
So you're not moving. You've got an object in your hand.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your environment around you is not changing. It's staying the same all the time.
The environment around you changes.
But the way you perform the skill is changing each time.
Yeah, you stay the same.
See that one? This whole 2 row. Charlie and Josh have identified that it's kind of hard because
Yeah,
most
crap.
skills in Trenton you have to move it perform, so like attacking or defending. So we'll come back to that later on.
Oh, missed that
What?
one.
Yeah.
Can you come out close?
Three.
So move on to the 3 lot.
Game with no crowd. Then you get like audience. No
I would say
audience.
audience, I would just say like,
Which you've got no object there, so you can't do anything.
so then it's just you and the player, just without an object.
So you could do it as, you know, the mirror game.
Is it just saying one to the
Because you change, the environment's changing because you've got to react to what the other person's doing.
But it's the same person, yeah.
Right.
That's what we said for the
That's just on the this is with you. It's like the same.
Because they've done it there, lunge attack. Get into on-guard position. That's why we have the sword. That's lunge attack. No, no, that's lunge attack.
I'm on about the motion. I'm on about that.
What are you two disagreeing
It's not the same. No.
Move on to
So that's what
3.
you lost to.
That's what we're on.
3 row.
That's what we're on. We're on arguing. Disagree. What's your fault?
Go back. Oh, just move it back.
That's one.
Come on.
It's okay, you can only ask.
I can't see the thing.
Give it a rotate. Ow. On my back, take it.
Because that's been 17 years.
Yeah.
You going for the moustache? I think you should shave the rest off.
Can't do that.
Take caution straight away.
If you're struggling with the other rows, ask what Josh and Charlie have got down. So get you technically working on together.
Have you done 2?
Well, if we work
No,
it
they
out,
left
well,
two.
scrap it wasn't carried on with that one. Because they're already halfway there.
Not really.
But the life isn't really the same, is it? We'll just pick up from where you left off and then,
Well, we've got,
yeah, because look at the state of that. So help us out, we're supposed to be a team here.
we've got on guard, and then we've got on guard with sword.
Yeah.
We've got lunge, no sword, lunge with sword.
Right.
And we've got the mirror game, where it's no sword, and we've got the mirror game with the sword. That's all we've got.
Have you missed out the second round?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So could you like say it again so that What's the first one?
We don't all need to write it down, do we? Because we said we were going to do it together.
You can't see it,
So if you've got, they've only got 2 more things than we have.
But this is taking a
What
while.
does this mean?
So
Okay,
do you feel like you could all comfortably explain why each skill fits in each category?
No,
Okay, which bit are you sort of
Whereas
struggling to
I'm
get your head
just-
around?
just all what they mean and all that. So there is a lot to take in.
Yeah, I understand that. It takes a while. It took me a while to get used to it. But it's
I
really helpful
I
with
get
your session
A's
plans.
non-object, B's with object.
Yeah.
That's loss.
So the conditions relates to the context, so the environment.
Yeah.
So stationary, nothing's changing, and motion, everything's changing. And then the intertrial variability is the one where if you were to perform it over and over again, the same way, does it change from time to time, the sort of outcome of the skill? Yeah, it'll take some getting used to it, but this Gentile taxonomy is a really good way to, if you're struggling with how to progress a skill in the session, you stick to that structure once you've got used to it. It's a really good way to use it.
what does that mean?
Which one?
In motion, regular.
So the regulatory conditions are in motion, so that's the environment around you is changing whilst you're performing the skill. So that one, it would be dribbling the football. And so you're in a game, it's all changing around you. So you've got players running about and the ground will change as well as you run about.
What is that with you? No one, you're not moving, and you're not moving anything else, but the things around you are moving. I'm baffled by this.
Yeah, so you'll actually, so yeah, you'll be dribbling, you'll just be stood around, but everything around you is changing, yeah. Basically. Put it in simple terms. Yeah.
So I don't understand with like fencing how you can do. Everyone should stop now. But I don't. Right. So how can you do anything with no object without moving whilst everyone around you's moving? I don't understand.
Yeah, so some things that would be hard for it.
Imagine it's just like the natural, just like lunge back. That's pretty much
You can't move back because that's moving.
You mean still like sentences like that.
I find you tend to go diagonally down the actual diagram of the development session because you're introducing the object whilst the rest of it gets harder with it as well. So I don't find I use all of those boxes all the time. That could be a fault of mine, but yeah.
Oh, so whoever made this bridge, Gentiles.
You should just chill out a bit.
Whatever it is.
So that's what it is.
It just seems a bit like crappy. I feel like I just the name of it makes me feel like I'm full of dots.
It just seems easy. How long have you got there?
Oh, yes.
No,
Just honestly, is that how the music
then she might be worth out how they get rid of that. Then they might be blind. So I would get them to make it I don't want to modify
Or would you do like all order and then
for
something?
the
second is to be that said. I know.
Have you identified any other boxes where fencing just can't fit into?
But they can't fit into.
Yeah,
Well,
so like we've identified the second row.
yeah, struggling with a lot too. And 3A we're struggling with because obviously it's not moving, but things
Yeah.
are moving around you, so it's
Yeah.
nice to do that.
Yeah. So,
Alright.
so with my sessions, I don't use every box when I plan them. It's just I use it as like how to structure it, but then I don't necessarily stick to that. I sometimes go back a box or forward a box. It just depends sort of what you're doing. So you don't actually use every single box for sport or any sport really, which is why 2 doesn't apply to fencing at all.
There you go.
It's a really good way to
Would that
structure
work?
your feedback as well,
Be
by
the-
the way. Really good.
Lunch.
With no, not the lunge, just the arm with the stick.
Hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not moving, just doing that. But you've got the object. To be fair, the other one could be that as well, couldn't it? The one before it, but that. Then, so 3A is just the poke.
Ah, yeah. I
3B.
I just go for that.
Is that your knee?
Poke with the stick. Go on, get down. Poke. We'll know what it means. Hit. With the sword.
It's great. It's not imaginary, man. Oh, no.
Is that what you're talking about?
Hey,
I don't know.
I tried to get it around this side, but Charlie was in the way, so now go over that side and then the cake was that way, it's green. Charlie, he's been going for
The order stuff. We also stuff in about use their stuff.
Are you finding it easier to use now? Sort of thinking about it.
I think it's easy to relate to someone else, sort of things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know as much as you, but it's
Yeah.
easy.
So you can use it as a point activity. Charlie, you said you were using it as well, aren't you? So you sort of have to identify, you could do it for your sport, so obviously the same what we've done for fencing but your sport, and then give a description of why it all fits into which category and stuff like that. Obviously you have to speak to Dave about it in more detail, because I'm not Dave, but you can use it as a 15-point activity. If you're struggling to think of any, or you want to negotiate anything.
Big figures all the time. I reckon if we did related to fencing,
Only do fencing because I know everyone's got some sort of knowledge on it. Yeah, some sort of knowledge.
I imagine it's just like sport, it's just like play basically, free flow, free fencing.
What do you should fucking do?
Yeah, free flow.
That's all.
Or yeah, it's just like you have you do you move. You're attacking
About for the strike.
should we finish it off there? Does everyone feel like they're a bit more comfortable? Not obviously 100% because it's confusing, but with practice you'll be able to get those. I do have references on the board, but Dave's got the board. I'll get him to send, when I send the PowerPoint over, I'll get that to be sent over to you as well, so you've got everything. Thanks for listening. If you want tennis balls, I've got them. I'll keep practicing.
Cool.